Edward Schroeder.
Oh.
He's the one who started the Columbus Museum.
Okay.
And he was the pioneer when the house was small. And first show I have here was 1965, 64. Wow. I studied art in Croatia. I was in the Art Institute for 5 years. Then I studied 2 years more at the Pedagogic Academy of Fine Art in order to be a professor. One semester before graduation, I packed my little suitcase and left communism and everybody else. I started painting when I was 5, 6 because after the war everything was destroyed. Okay. Whatever Hitler couldn't destroy, the communists took it away from my quite wealthy family in Budapest.
You were a child of the Second World War.
That's right. I was actually the survivor of Holocaust. My mother was taken to the concentration camps for 3 or 4 years, and from time to time they would take me in and out, and I grew up with my grandmother. So, as I say, the child was completely destroyed, was very poor. My father was shot by communists, being against them, when I was 6 years old. I'm coming back to this background to see why I became a painter. My mother was desperate for me to be a doctor, engineer. If I couldn't be a doctor, be a dentist, be a pharmacist, but not a painter. All my life I was fighting against institutions and everything else to be a painter.
When did you know you wanted to be a painter?
All my life. All my life. My grandmother would buy me colors. I was very noisy, very loud child, and my grandmother would buy me little watercolors and say, go in the corner and paint. And
shut
just be a sheriff and paint. Now my wife should go to studio sheriff and paint.
How important is freedom to you, having grown up under a communist regime?
It was catastrophic because they didn't like individualists. They didn't like creators. Everything was done for the masses.
I mean, in those days, I suppose you were being prepared for a career in commercial art, rather, because nobody had a concept of being a freelance artist. It was not a concept, but he didn't want to be like boxed into the style that was currently fashionable in that little town.
When did you leave for Paris?
1962. It was a cold November. I remember I had a suitcase about this size and 20 English pounds hiding in the bottom of my little sports hat.
That's all you had with you, was a suitcase and 20 pounds?
I didn't speak French, English, Spanish.
No papers.
No papers. And then just take a chance in my life.
How old were you?
I was 22 years old. I didn't want to serve Yugoslav army either, and there was another handicap, another reason I'm leaving. I didn't get along with my stepfather. I didn't like the institutions. The government were supporting most of communist artists. And of course, my father was killed by communists, so, I didn't have any chance.
Where did this style, this impressionist style, come from?
I don't know why they call me impressionist, but it's a much more modern than impressionist. And all my life I painted to amuse myself. I hate to get bored. I figure out if I get bored, I'm going to bore everybody else. But you see, everything is involved. In the one painting, you don't paint just pour the oil on the canvas. It's idea. Your life experience come to this painting. If you don't use some music, if you don't use some poetry, you get more stingy. You lose the whole conception. You see, putting in the proper way. It's also religion.
Where was this taken on? Where was this off of the Chattahoochee?
This was done where John Amos' head is there.
Okay. I know exactly.
Looking opposite way.
Yes.
But now the light's a little bit too strong.
When did you first come to the U.S.?
I came to America in 1964 with 2 suitcases. I was immigrant again. It's some kind of instinct that we are going to spend many, many years together.
So it was an immediate attraction.
Right. She was here with the parents, and her dad was, quartermaster at Fort Benning, and I was a painter with long hair, with no money, so I was waiting to improve.
Communist hippie, a passport-seeking communist hippie.
And I remember even when I come here, he was telling to General Skelton, he said, my daughter married some artist from communist country with long hair, has some Jewish grandmother or something. My God, I hope he can paint my fence. He was shopping for food. He offered me scotch, and then he said,
At a bar, not
at
a
the bar.
concert.
You want another drink? I said, the scotch. He said, Baba, that's too expensive. Have a beer. So I had a beer. He said, I'm going to barber to cut my hair a little bit. Would you like to accompany me? So I said, sure, I'll wait for you. After have scotch and beer on the 95 degrees. And so they were cutting his hair. He said, but Baba, why don't you trim your hair a little bit? To please him, I did that. Before I knew, I was sculpted. I came home, she was fixing those crepes, my favorite meal, this beautiful porcelain plate. She saw me, she dropped all crepes and everything on the floor. I was so hungry, I was picking them up on the floor. And that night my daughter was born. She went right to the hospital and Natasha was born.
Yeah.
Columbus is like a mother to me now. I mean, so many people, they were sponsoring me, and they were kind, nice to me. I had a 5 museum show here. Last year, SunTrust Bank gave me a show at the museum. I saw the nicest people, like Lieberns, like Turners, like Dexter Jordan, like Bowers, Sanders. They were very fine of my work and sponsoring me and give me possibility that I can, in the beginning, that I can do what I'm doing now.
So how does a guy from communist Eastern Europe become so popular in the collections of the Deep South? These wealthy collections in the Deep South. How did your work find its way into that niche?
I don't know, through my work. People like my work, and I spoke my language with my paintings. Wherever I am, I'm looking for beauty. But you have to be familiar with the subject. If I'm a portrait painter, I would love to live with my model for 1 week or 2 weeks or 1 month before I will paint it. Well, same thing goes with my painting, To paint the one rock, you have to know the mountain.
So you haven't painted your best work yet?
No, it's always next one.
What of the 4,128, did I remember it right?
2008. 4,208.
4,208 paintings that you have painted. Do you have a favorite?
Well, I'm attached to some of them because of certain time or certain moment in my life. But as I say, my favorite one is always last one.
So what goes through your mind when you sign your painting?
It's mine. It belongs to me.
But you're about to sell it.
So I have to make living. You sell, you make your living writing, and he make his living taking photographs, and I make my living being a painter. And many times I'm like a tailor. Everybody owns more suits than I do.
Are you more creative in Venice or Columbus?
It's the same everywhere. If you're in this kind of mood, in Venice, I'm obliged to paint what I see. Here I'm more creative. Because, once you're there and you're in the landscape, you cannot put some architecture or whatever you painted there, or you cannot change anything.
It's just like a discipline, because it's like so architectural, and it's like a study of perspective and color and reflections. It's like it's a calming down period.
Like here, I can put that spot over there, or if it's too heavy on left side, I put something on the right side. So it's very painful because you don't see the end of the painting, and during the process you always doubting. But sometimes you see the landscape many times you already see the way it's going to be when you're going to finish the landscape. So if I live there all the time, I'd be bored to death. I go there for 1 month, you know, did some disciplined drawing, watercolors, paintings, and then move to another life. But you know, I cannot guarantee of anything. Security in life doesn't exist. You know, that's why many people, they work all their life for security so they can eat, you see. But the best security you can have is yourself and believe in what you can do, and especially when you know what you want.
Does that go back to how you were raised and where you were raised?
No, it came with life. It came with slapping of life, with the good times, bad times, disappointing time, success, fiascos. I don't know how you say fiascos.
What's your favorite spot in Columbus?
By the river. I love to go there. I love to see the river. You know, it's all my philosophy. You see the river going by, you can go with it, or you can just stay on top and look at how everybody goes with it.
Is our river beautiful? I mean, you've seen rivers all over the world.
Yes.
How does our river compare?
They move, they take things and they carry them, and they have life. Every river I saw has life, and different kind of life. Through my work, people like my work, and I spoke my language with my paintings. Wherever I am, I'm looking for beauty.